Well, first of all, listening to the heartache from those two parents is truly heartbreaking, and our hearts are with them. And not only are we praying for them, but this administration is taking action. The Department of Homeland Security and ICE have already said that a detainer has been put on this individual if he is to be released, and he will immediately be transferred into ICE custody, we hope, if the state of California complies. And if not, the Department of Justice will be seeking a conviction against this man where he will spend time in federal prison for taking the lives of those two young Americans. So these results speak for themselves. President Trump is not going to tolerate illegal immigrant crime. And this individual case represents everything that is wrong with our immigration system. This individual was twice deported, but was allowed back into our country by the previous administration, took the lives of two young Americans, and is now barely facing any consequences. We will not tolerate it. We will not stand for that, and we will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws and ensure that illegal immigrants who not only break our nation's immigration laws, but then further commit heinous acts of violence against law-abiding American citizens in our country are held to the fullest extent of the law.
I mean, things just keep getting worse and worse and worse for the Democrat Party and how they handle this illegal immigrant situation. Right now, the Democrat Party's approval rating it was already an all-time low last week. It's sunk even more, and they say it's at 23%. And you know, if the lamestream left-wing extremist media is saying 23% out loud, it's probably closer to 15%, if not lower than that, because Americans are not feeling what is happening. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you briefly what this article talks about, and then I'm going to show you clips of what's going on in California. We all know about what's happening with the Maryland senator that went to El Salvador to free the MS-13 woman-beaten, human trafficking gangbanger, and they're fighting to get him back. You even got the Illinois governor that just made an announcement that they're going to try to penalize El Salvador for holding Abrego Garcia. The man wasn't even living in Illinois. He was in Maryland, but this Democrat governor want to get some shine because Democrats actually believe they're winning this thing, and American people are with them because they live in these blue echo chambers where they bounce stuff off against each other, and it sounds good. A lunatic speaking sounds great and sane to another lunatic, but to a regular person, it sounds delirious. So check this out. In California, an illegal immigrant who killed unalived two American citizens, two young people in a DUI car crash, is being released. Not just early, I'm talking about without even completing even half of the sentence. So you got these people fighting for these illegal immigrants, but they weren't fighting to make sure the people that were arrested unjustly with a whole January 6th scam, they didn't check to make sure they got due process, because they did not. They were treated like they were in a third world country, while our government officials are going to third world countries to fight. It's crazy. So illegal immigrant early release in California sparks outrage. The early release, and I'm just going to read a little bit of this. The early release of an illegal immigrant convicted of killing two teenagers in a 2021 drunk driving crash has sparked national outrage and prompted swift federal action. Trump administration officials have vowed to intervene if California fails to honor an immigration detainer issued against the repeat offender. That's right, repeat offender. And then end up taking the lives of two people when he wasn't even supposed to be here. Oscar Eduardo Ortega-Anguiano, a Mexican national deported multiple times, was sentenced to 10 years in 2022 for a gross vehicular manslaughter in the deaths of 19-year-olds Anya Varfalomeev and Nikolai Osokin. And, much respect to their family. I apologize for mispronouncing the name, y'all. The fiery crash on the 405 freeway in Seal Beach occurred while Ortega-Anguiano was driving drunk and at high speed. He has served just 3 years of his 10-year sentence. So deported multiple times, DUI, takes the life of two young people that haven't even reached 21 and is only having to serve 3 years. And California is looking like they're going to push back on detaining this man for ICE. Despite a history of serious criminal convictions, including burglary, vehicle theft, and spousal battery with kidnapping, California's Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation is preparing to release Ortega-Anguiano early. ICE has placed a detainer on him, but the state's sanctuary policies raise serious concerns about whether it will be enforced. Tom Homan, a former acting ICE director and Trump's border czar, said federal officials are prepared to act if California fails to cooperate. We'll have ICE agents outside that facility to take custody of this individual and deport him. Homan told Fox News, re-entry to the country, deportation is a felony. We will prosecute him and we will deport him. So he re-entered, which is a double whammy, took the lives of people, only had to serve 3 years. And now Californians acting like they don't want to give him back. And that's Gavin Newsom, who we know is going to try to make a run for 2028. He's been trying to act like he's more moderate, but things like this show he's as far left-wing extremist as wacko AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, and the rest of those left-wing lunatic libtards. U.S. Attorney Bill Asali, recently sworn in for California's Central District, announced a felony immigration charge against Ortega-Anguiano under 8 USC 1326. The charge could carry up to 20 years in federal prison if convicted. Man, this state attorney, he must be a Republican. If the state of California will not seek the full measure of justice against this individual, the Justice Department will, Asali said. So U.S. Attorney Bill Asali recently sworn in for California's Central District. If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid, hit that like button, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. And when you do, that option where you can turn on the notifications, make sure you hit all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Thank goodness he's there. It must be a conservative. The case has become a flashpoint in the ongoing debate over sanctuary policies, immigration enforcement, and public safety, especially when illegal immigrants with serious criminal records are granted leniency by state authorities. You got a resident of California that's lived there his whole life or her whole life, paid taxes, made a mistake, but they're not getting any leniency unless they like to diddle around with little kids. Those are the only people that California care about. The diddlers and these illegal immigrant, gang-banging, woman-beating, sex traffickers. That's it. Allegedly. Got to put the allegedly on there. Now, let's check out this clip where you're going to really see and hear. This is from a sheriff in California. And I'm going to just play a minute of it, but I want you to listen to what type of people California is releasing back into the population. Then I'm going to show you a video of the two young people's father and what he had to say about what's going on. Check this out.
Here are a few examples of the people who had detainers, were released due to California law and rearrested for new crimes. A man from Mexico was arrested in San Juan Capistrano for possession of methamphetamine and presenting a false ID to police on August 27th. He was rearrested again in San Juan Capistrano on October 28th for assault with a deadly weapon. These are just in calendar year 2024, by the way. A Vietnamese man was arrested by the Anaheim Police Department for identity theft on June 28th. Less than 2 weeks later, on July 9th, he was arrested by Westminster Police Department for forgery, false impersonation, and identity theft. Another man from Mexico was arrested on February 20th by the Sheriff's Department for vandalism and arson. He is arrested again 6 months later, again for arson and vandalism by the Garden Grove Police Department. An individual from Mexico was arrested by the Placentia Police Department on March 6th for child endangerment. He was arrested again on July 14th by La Habra Police Department for child endangerment and DUI. He was arrested again by the Placentia Police Department on September 18th for child endangerment and possession of drug paraphernalia. A man from El Salvador was arrested by the Tustin Police Department for unlawful sexual, that means sexual, on April 29th and rearrested again on Tustin on October 7th for burglary. A man from Belarus was arrested for robbery in Tustin on July 2nd, was rearrested by the Orange County Sheriff's Department on October 24th for DUI.
So you're getting the gist of what's going on in California, how these illegal immigrants, and these aren't petty crimes. This isn't them, like the Democrats tried to say, they're just hungry and they were just stealing food. They're touching children. They're putting people's lives at risk, driving under the influence on highways. It's crazy. So now let's get into the actual story at hand, which is with the actual father of one of the young people who had their lives taken. And I'm going to let this play. This clip is a little long, but I want you to get the gist of really what's going on and just how, if you live in California, it's no longer just good enough to make sure that we vote the right way. Man, we got to start educating people so that people out there understand we got to make the right voting decisions. And that's why I started this channel and start putting this information out. I realized how many people are unaware of these stories. And they're just living their lives. They're going home after getting off work. They're taking care of their families. They love their parents. They believe in God. They pay their taxes. They just want the least amount of stress as possible. And so we believe that if we just keep our head down and don't make too much noise, we can avoid the issues. But as we see, keeping our head down is how we run into the issues. And we got to help other people keep their heads up. But let me let this clip play, and then I'll come back with a little commentary.
And now to Bill Malhusian. He has a Fox News exclusive on the tragic consequences of an unsecured border. Hi, Bill. Been waiting to talk to you all morning.
Yeah, Dana, good morning to you. This illegal alien had a lengthy rap sheet here in California long before he ever killed these two California teenagers. He's got several felony convictions on his record, several convictions for driving without a license, but he was still out and about on California's roads. And this young American couple ended up paying the price for that. And now their killer is getting an early release. It was November 2021, a fiery collision on an Orange County freeway. A young couple dead, and the driver who crashed into them, a twice deported illegal alien from Mexico with multiple felonies, in custody for being drunk, high, and speeding at nearly 100 miles per hour.
I get a knock on the door, and there's two police officers.
The pain written all over the face of Pavel Osokin, as he recalls being told his son Nikolai and his 19-year-old girlfriend Anya Varfolomeev, friends since they were kids, were gone.
No parent should have to go through that. I've raised 3 children. My children are grown, but oh my God, I have 2 grandchildren. No parent should have to go through this. And of course, things do happen, but when you find out that it happened and it really, literally did not have to happen, if our government did what they were supposed to do, this person would have never been here. So that means it would have never happened. Not saying it couldn't have happened in some other way, but it wouldn't have happened with this person because of their BS. And when those decisions that our government officials are making start impacting our lives and our family members, that's a problem.
They told me there was a horrible incident. My son and his girlfriend, Anya, basically were burned alive in their car.
She was my daughter.
Anya's father, Anatoly, got a similar knock on the door that night.
He said, Anya's name. I said, yes, it's my daughter. My wife came downstairs and she was screaming and crying. She said, no, 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 no.
In spring of 2022, a jury convicted Oscar Eduardo Ortega-Anguiano on 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. A judge sentenced him to 10 years. But on Easter Sunday, the family say they received this notice from the California Department of Corrections that on July 19th, he'll be getting out.
2 years for killing 2 kids. It's confusing to me. Why you give them 10 if they're going to spend 5 and then 3?
You get 2 young, productive American citizens killed for nothing. And that illegal immigrant who already has been deported twice is going to be released again.
And if you notice, it sounds like these 2 men are both immigrants who obviously did it the right way. And ask them, do they agree with illegal immigration? They've lost and they're both immigrants. So that's why when the Democrats make this about, oh, everybody is just feeling so bad. No, they're not. Matter of fact, the Hispanics are the biggest ones against it because they just fled these areas where these folks are coming from. They know what potentially comes with that. It's like anybody that's grew up in the hood or in an urban area that's dangerous. They don't want to be there. They want to get as far away from there as possible because they know the elements that are within that. And so that's why the Democrats had to act like, oh, everybody just loves it in the hood and the school system. No, they hate the school system. They hate the crime. They just don't have the resources to get out. But these illegal immigrants, they didn't just come here happenstance. They were invited and then were enticed, and it's taking the lives of young people.
Statement, the Department of Corrections wouldn't confirm the release, but said in part, quote, incarcerated persons may earn credits for participating in rehabilitative programming, which may move their parole dates to an earlier date. Anya and Nikolai's families are now sending letters to the state, calling for Ortega-Anguiano to serve his full sentence.
All those dreams were cut short just by one person who was not even supposed to be on that freeway. I will never forgive this guy. Never, ever.
I hope he's going to stay in prison. I hope he's going to get old in prison. And I hope he's going to get kicked out from our country in the end.
And Dana, ICE confirms to Fox News they have placed a detainer on this illegal alien with the California Department of Corrections. Their hope is that the state will transfer him to their custody upon his release from prison in July. As for the victims' families, they're now left wondering, what are 2 lives worth here in the state of California? They say, apparently, only a little more than 3 years. We'll send it back to you.
So not only did we have these 2 young people, we got Rachel Morin, we got Laken Riley, and we got countless others that have been impacted and affected by this BS with these illegal immigrants. And listen, I love everybody. I have no issue, no personal issue against anybody trying to improve their life. But when our government officials show more concern for foreigners than they do the homegrown, that's the problem. We got to get these people out. We can never let the Democrat Party have power again. Can you just imagine what would have happened if Kamala or Joe would have won? Not only would we not know half of what we know about the slush funds and all of this stuff, but it would have been 50 million illegal immigrants here by now. I totally believe it, especially knowing what I know now. The fact that 2 million were given Social Security numbers in 2024, the fact that 1 million in 2023, and then 500,000 in 2022, they were ramping this thing, and they had this thing rocking. But luckily for us, we got the right person in the seat. Now we got to stop these federal judges filing all these injunctions, trying to stop President Trump from getting their homegrown, should I say, they're brought in, their imported slave class and new voter base. That's all they wanted. That's why they talk about them as picking cotton and serving food. They wanted a new slave class who's too ignorant to know that voting for them is voting for their own destruction. And it's taken the black community so long to wake up for that. But luckily, it's like day by day, more and more and more are snapping out of the dream, the propaganda nightmare that the Democrat Party has them in. So, hey, but if you watch this video this far, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, tell me what you think about it. Most importantly, make sure that you stay safe, you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.